and that's the angle. Joining me now is Indiana Congressman Jim Banks, Republican Study Committee Chairman, and Victor Davis Hanson, Hoover Institution Senior Fellow. Congressman, good to see you tonight. Your reaction to the big news from the last 24 hours that Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi are both going to be holding on a little longer.
I mean, Laura, if you think about it, this has been a pretty lucrative career for Nancy Pelosi. She was worth about $3 million when she started out in Congress. Today, she's worth $200 million. So why not keep doing it? It's awfully lucrative. But the fact of the matter is Nancy Pelosi is older than my grandma. I love my grandma. Joe Biden is the same age as my grandma. I don't believe my grandma is capable of leading this country. She's not capable, certainly, of even filing my taxes. But if that's the future of the Democrat Party, it tells you everything that you need to know about where they want to drive this country. A very wise businessman in my district often tells me that you shouldn't put 80-year-old people in a position to make 20, 40, 50-year decisions for a business or for our country, and that's what the Democrats are trying to do.
Victor, speaking of grandmothers, here was Hillary yesterday.
The Republican Party has gone along with him. Honestly, they have hung their spines up on the wall as they walk into their offices. They have no conscience. They have no spine. It's a time to decide whether we're going to be a grown-up country or not.
Victor, I think it's amazing to hear Hillary Clinton, who's still whining about losing the election in 2016, on reading her speeches that she didn't get to give. She's talking about growing up. Isn't it time that she grows up?
Well, she's in her mid-70s too, and remember Dick Durbin, the third man in the Senate, he's 76. Bernie's 80, so they're all octogenarians or septuagenarians, and they're not going to retire, Laura. What else would they do? They've been in politics their entire life. They know they've driven the Democratic Party over the cliff. If they retire now, they're going to take a big beating in 2022 and 2024, and they're going to be blamed for it. They got on this left-wing tiger, and they got on the back of it. The Squad, as you said, AOC, the BLM, and even Antifa, they winked and nodded at. And they can't get off that tiger. If they were to retire and jump off, who would take their place? Some crazy people, and they know it. And they've wrecked the Democratic Party because they didn't have a graduated retirement. They didn't bring in new people because they were narcissists and egotists, and they thought they could stay there forever. And now they've been sabotaged or hijacked by the hard left. And they're never. All they have now, as you've reviewed, is they have January 6th, Donald Trump is a monster, lockdown forever, and they've got a new one that Hillary's hinting at, and they've all got Adam Schiff that if the Republicans win in 2022 or 24, we're going to have an autocracy, a dictatorship, the end of democracy. And all that means is that the polls are against them now. Right after the election, when Biden won, they were saying the system has been redeemed. Democracy is fresh. And then they had 10 months, and they ran their polls in the ground, and they had the most unpopular agendas in recent memory.
Let me get back to Congressman here because
the system is to blame and is going to have a coup because they're unpopular.
Victor, we said this last week, and Congressman, we said this last week. The pre-spin has begun. Democracy isn't really democracy in the United States. There's only one party that matters. I think the Democrats could be a vibrant party if they were enforcing the border, pro-life as they used to be, started being more sensible, a little bit more centrist on some of these. They refuse to. So we want a two-party system that's healthy and vigorous. But MSNBC is already working the spin machine because they know what's coming down the pike. Watch.
My God, how can Democrats move forward with any election? How can Joe Biden move forward to any re-election unless he looks at the threat to our democracy that we still face right now? And that is January 6th, the attack on the Capitol.
What else do they have? I mean, they don't really know what else to have. They have the race issue, tearing down statues, abortion, porn, pot, and this, I guess.
Remember, their only agenda is power. H.R. 1, symbolically, their most important item that they put forward in the Congress is a bill to give them permanent power by changing election rules to give Democrats an advantage on Election Day, make D.C. a state so they get 2 more Democrat senators, public financing of campaigns so we all get the opportunity to contribute to Bernie Sanders for president of every year, every 4 years with our tax dollars. That's their agenda, permanent power. It's not to do anything at all to help.
But I want to jump in there, Congressman, because we were talking the other day, and I'm concerned about this as well. Republicans take power, next year. Let's say that happens. And then what? Are Republicans going to be ready on day one with an agenda that they've campaigned on that's going to be able to be moved quickly? Because the Democrats were ready. They had what they wanted to do.
And I believe that we are. I mean, it starts with big tech. It starts with securing the border. I mean, those are the issues that our voters are
But those are general
demanding.
issues. We need pieces of legislation. It needs to be clear. That's what I'm saying. It needs to be a contract with
Agreed.
America-like document. I'm going to jump on you for that, but it can't be just can't just be anti-Biden, Victor. That's what I'm concerned about. Anti-Biden, anti-Pelosi.
No, I
that's
know.
fine,
I
but
am
what are you
too.
for?
They've got to have an energy policy that gets us a lot more barrels of oil pumped every day. We've got to go back to being free of the Middle East dependency. We've got to stop this critical race theory, discriminate to end discrimination, be racist to end racist, and go back to Martin Luther King's content of our character, not the color of our skin. And we've got to say that if you're going to be in the United States and you're going to vote in an election, you've got to be a citizen. You can't have 800,000 people that are foreign nationals voting in a city election. There should be a federal law that supersedes state laws, just as there is
tax cut for the middle class. That's what I say.
matters.
Tax cut across the board, especially for the middle class. It's got to be the first. Get government off the backs of the people. Victor, Congressman, you're my first guest. Back in the studio, I think. I mean, it's one. You get a fruitcake later on. Congressman, thank you. Good to see you, Victor. And